Action. All right. October 12th, 2022. Here we are. We have 6 today. Let's all just take a breath. I'm sure we've just been running around like a bunch of crazy people. So let's just take a breath. If we haven't been running around like a bunch of crazy people, we're probably running around at least inside of our minds like a bunch of crazy people. We've probably had at least 40 communications so far today, which is not natural for these human minds. We're typically used to just a few communications per day with the old ways of the village. But here we are living in these giant villages that connect 4 billion people. Pretty crazy. So it's just, let's take 5 breaths. Why not? We're here. This is your opportunity to take 5 breaths today if you haven't done that yet. With each breath, just pulling more of yourself back into yourself. Right back to the center. That's one breath. Feeling the weight of your body and the spot that you're sitting. That's 2 breaths. If you're breathing faster than me, then you're going to take more breaths. You're just pulling all your future thoughts back into your present moment, where we have the ability to navigate and prioritize, to plan, to strategize, to come up with better questions to ask. Exhale. Breathing in again. Bringing to the surface the question that you would like answered today that would help propel you forward, the support that you need right now. And exhale, softening your body, your stomach muscles, your shoulders, your neck, your arms, your legs, your feet. And one more breath. And hold the breath at the top here, as full as your lungs can go. Feeling your body full, feeling life supporting you in this moment with this breath. And exhale fully. And just holding the breath on empty. Feeling your lungs empty, body empty, mind empty, and just sit with that for a few moments. And just notice what's happening inside. Now welcome. All right. So today's sermon about planning and preparation. I did a couple different progress log updates yesterday, one for Magic Media, one for Magic Kids. There's projects galore, there's delegation galore, there's things being built all over the place, inside of my mind and inside of this virtual reality space, as well as in my real relationships in the real world. And the thing that is keeping me focused and sane inside of myself is definitely mapping things out and planning things and getting on this big ass whiteboard of mine to see the bigger picture in front of me of like, what am I doing here? And there's a few things that I find extremely therapeutic in the planning and preparation space. The one which is just simply talking things through with my teammates. So carving out the space to have enough time to talk through different roles, upgrades, changes in what they're doing, next steps on the project, so that they feel clear and empowered to do the thing that they need to do, where they don't need to lean on me or they're not second guessing themselves. And so the more that I can be prepared to come to those meetings with them, there's like lay things out for them as clean as possible. It's kind of like I used to hire people on Fiverr a lot to do work for me. And what I found was the more clear I was and specific about exactly what I wanted, with samples of the work, with samples of what I wanted to be like, the better results I would get. the more vague I was of like, I want you to do this fluffy thing and blah, blah, blah. And there was like no real clarity. There was no structure. There was no examples or samples or anything. The worst, like I would get terrible. It was just like, what? How did you? Well, I guess I just wasn't clear. And so I would just waste my money on Fiverr with all these different gigs. And it wasn't until I got clear. So same thing goes as I've got probably 20 people inside of my core team of Magic Kids and Magic Media and all the projects I'm working on that I'm in constant communication with. And I have to be so dialed these days in delegating that stuff. Now, a lot of us here are solopreneurs or small teampreneurs. So for our, we have to treat ourselves like we are the team, and which means we have different roles that we have to play individually. We are the creator, we're the marketer, we are the one who's in charge of building the email autoresponders or the website or finding the designs. All these different things are roles and responsibilities. And so last, I guess it was a week or so ago, I went on a couple different retreats, business retreats, and then a personal adventure retreat. And while I was away, because there's been so much moving and changing and new people coming and going inside my team, I had to just like rewrite all the roles and responsibilities. And so now I'm preparing for like a big team meeting where everybody can take full ownership over their roles and responsibilities so that there's no longer all these overlaps in communication channels and people talking to people they don't need to be talking to, and just to try and really streamline everybody's time and energy, so that my time and energy is also streamlined so everybody's more effective and efficient. And I say this because none of this is possible without carving out thinking space. We need time to think where we're not in front of a computer. For me, I mean, thinking space can simply be stacking wood out of my wood pile where I'm not engaged on the computer. I'm just allowing for space for my mind to wander, to come up with ideas. I've got a notebook nearby that I can just jot things down as they come up. Or it's going for a hike for me where I'm not playing golf, where I'm just actually walking my body and my dog, but I'm not trying to put a ball in a hole. So whatever it is for you, carving out that thinking space every single week is really important. I suggest it at least once on the weekend, once in the middle of the week, so that you can reflect on what you've done, reflect on where you're feeling like you're coming up against an edge or you're coming up against an unknown and you've got something that needs to be figured out. Because a lot of the times we can spin the wheels in procrastination, or we can spin our wheels in avoidance of not wanting to tackle the hard thing that's right there in front of us. It's actually holding us back from 10 steps of momentum. You know, that one step is like a wall. And if we aren't looking at it head on, of like, this is the thing I don't know how to do right now. Like, this is the big problem that's holding me back. It's holding my team back or whatever, or it's causing me to just like avoid and binge watch Netflix, or it's causing me to avoid having a difficult conversation. It's those, we need to take that space so that we can recognize that resistance inside of our bodies, because that is the war of art, is the resistance that we have to meet day in and day out as creators, as entrepreneurs, as teachers. And we have to overcome that. And oftentimes, for the majority of people, creating the thing is the joy. That is the delight. It's like making the thing is the fun and easy part. It's marketing the thing that is the hard part, where the resistance comes up of like actually spreading the word, of actually being our biggest fan until we have a flock of fans that are being our biggest fans for us. So all of these things, we just have to carve that space. And so I would encourage all of you, just as an experiment, your next 30 days, look at your calendar and carve 2 blocks of time, 1 hour blocks of time, 2 per week. Could be on weekends, could be weekdays, it could be 6 a.m., it could be 8 p.m., where you've got at least an hour of space where you're off a computer, you don't have a phone near you, and you're moving your body in some form of way that allows for you to be aware of your thoughts and what's coming up. And I would encourage you to start those sessions with some just open questions of like, what are you trying to figure out? Are you trying to get clear? Are you trying to figure out what you're going to build? Are you trying to organize your thoughts around a workshop or presentation you have to do? Are you trying to organize yourself so that you're more effective at managing your team. Whatever it is, go into those sessions with an intended inquiry. When Andy and I created the Great E-Course Adventure years ago, I mean, our whole creative process for producing that epic course was we would go for hikes out in nature for like 5 hours at a time, and we wrote the whole curriculum while out hiking. And we would just be in these open dialogues. We would stop, we'd jot things down, and then we would come home from those day-long adventures and we would start to put things onto the actual computer, and we'd start to map out things and script things and prepare for production. So we couldn't have done it without those hikes. So carve out some space for thinking time, put it in your calendar today, right now, while we're on this call. Find those spots. I know life's busy. If it means you got to wake up early a couple days a week to do that, or stay up a little bit later, or just like have one less appointment, it's really important, because we as the creators are also the creative directors. In order to be creative directors of whatever it is that we're building, we need to have that space so we can be in the visionary mode of looking into the future and looking at the obstacles that are coming our way and trying to anticipate what's going to need to happen next. And some of the actions this week that I were taking were totally out of left field. So right before this session, based on some inspiration I had last night, because I had 2 hours of space to just think while tidying the house, I realized I needed to build pages for musicians and for meditation guides on our submit your work on the Magic Kids site. And it was just, that was my morning today. It was just taking action on that. And I feel like it's brought these new pieces together that are going to help propel the app forward and bring more energy to what we're trying to do here. So I couldn't have done that. I wouldn't have had that insight that I had and that inspiration if I didn't have that space. And a big part of my life the last couple of years has been purging relationships, purging tasks, purging parts of my life that just didn't serve. So I had more space for what matters inside of my life, inside of my business. And that's just a constant practice. I mean, I've never found the perfect balance of life, business, hours, family, all the things. So yeah, I feel like the point I'm trying to make here is we got to make to-do lists. You got to take time to prioritize your to-do lists. Like, what are you really trying to do? It was the podcast episode from one of our coaching calls a couple weeks ago around the golf metaphor, around like, what is the shot you're trying to take right now? And then break that shot down into a task list so that you can execute on that shot as easily, efficiently, and while being creatively inspired. And that's it. That's my sermon for the day.